I mean, everyone should agree with me that the latest President Ramaphosa's evening special address, most important event was when he was putting on the mask. Come on, don't deny that. You better agree with me, right? I mean, I think that's the most important thing that happened on the speech. Uh, Despite telling people that they should travel in Texas with windows open. I mean, have you ever been in a taxi? I used to catch taxi from Bray Taxi Rank to the west of Joburg, and also used to catch taxi in Noord Taxi Rank to the north of Joburg in Sandton. Back in the day, you know, if one person is not feeling well and even they're on their side and opening just a little piece of their window, the whole taxi will be frozen cold, you know. And besides, the taxis, most of the taxis were never in good conditions. In fact, even when the windows are all closed, if you look down over there or you try to take your coins and count them and you drop one to the floor of the taxi, the floor would be the tar road. In other words, cold air would be coming through. If it's not going to be mitigated by a hot engine where you're sitting up in front there when the taxi is super full, you're sitting up in front there, you know, just behind the taxi driver and with your back turned against the taxi driver. That's where it will be warm, okay? That will be your aircon. So I can just picture a taxi coming from the East Rand from Tembisa to Joburg with all the windows being opened. I mean, these people have never taken a taxi anyway, honestly. So the alcohol announcement, blame it on the alcohol part two, right? So the president said, I've sat down with the NCCC, the National Corona Council Committee Council, whatever. I sat down with my members of cabinet and I sat down with the medical advisors, and they said that ever since we allowed alcohol to be sold, we started to be overwhelmed at the hospitals. Okay? And he said there's an overwhelming evidence.
As we head towards the peak of infections, it is vital that we do not burden our clinics and hospitals with alcohol-related injuries that could have been avoided. This is a fight to save every life, and we have therefore decided that in order to conserve hospital capacity, in order to make sure that there are sufficient and enough beds in our hospitals that are not taken by those who come in resulting from alcohol-induced trauma or injuries. We've now decided that the sale, the dispensing, and the distribution of alcohol will be suspended with immediate effect. There is now clear evidence that the resumption of alcohol sales has resulted in substantial pressure being put on hospitals, including trauma and ICU units, due to motor vehicle accidents, violence, as well as related trauma that are alcohol induced. Most of these and other trauma occur at night. Therefore, as an additional measure to reduce the pressure on hospitals, a curfew will be put in place between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. Health facilities in several provinces are already under tremendous strain. We have heard of instances where people who are infected have been turned away from health facilities due to a lack of beds or essential supplies. This is deeply worrying.
Nobody could ask the El Presidente questions, follow-up questions. Our president has never sat down with the media and have to ask or answer hard questions. It never happened. Not that we're expecting that they're going to be a hard question being asked. He sort of reminded me of Barack Obama. He was the darling of the media. So whatever 1% that's going to have an opportunity to be asking the president questions, good luck to that. You know, we just find out on the following day after the president national address that he promised the media that he will be taking questions, and then the minister in the presidency, Jackson, aka Don't Buy City Press, Don't Buy Mtembu, answered the question and said, well, there's been some snag, you know how the word technical difficulties are thrown. There was some snag. Our president will in time still will have an opportunity to answer all the questions. Besides, he had a conversation with the community radio station.
Let me answer my question. The first one was my question. That we assured the media. Yes, we are still repeating that assurance. By the way, the president has answered questions from ordinary South Africans from the media. Unfortunately, recently, there was a snag. There was some disconnectivity that happened. But we are committed to the president engaging. In fact, it was a wonderful engagement. I watched it where the media was also in attendance, ordinary South Africans, it virtual imbizo.
Remember that question and answer on TV where the president was answering questions um, of all the community radio stations. But the person who was asking the president was someone working for the government communication department community radio station. So all those questions, obviously, they were fed through to the guy who's working for the government community radio station, goes through him, get filtered, asked to the president on TV while everybody's watching, then they get answered. And this is what Mr. Jackson Tembu says, that, hey, he communicated with journalists, you know, and he will chat with you. And during the clusters that are responsible now for, say, for instance, the Department of Health, where they were asked as to the reason why alcohol was stopped being sold. They wanted to find out the statistics and the facts as to how many people were being admitted in hospital wards after the alcohol had been sold. How many people were admitted into the hospital wards, the ICU trauma units, when there was a lockdown. So that's when the minister starts playing football, okay? Uh, Taking that question and making it a football. So the Minister of Justice said that, well, maybe Nkosazana Zuma will answer the question, and then Ms. Nkosazana Zuma said, no, well, the question will be answered by the Minister of Health in terms of the hospital statistics, and the Minister of Police, Mr. Beki Cele, will give us the answers in terms of the number of crimes that will then been committed, and let's wait for them to give us the answer.
We will not have come with the actual details. People who will come with the actual details is the Minister of Health, who will be with us at 15 hours. But indeed, the colleagues we do have the numbers as reported in the NCCC and Cabinet. So those numbers will be available from our Minister of Health and his team when they come here. But indeed, the colleagues can, of course, we also have another doctor, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
I will not want to get into the stats and the trauma and so forth. Maybe Minister Dlamini Zuma is better placed, or Minister Mkhize.
I think on the sale of alcohol, I think he has, the minister has explained. The Minister of Health could bring the actual figures, and the Minister of Police can also bring figures around crime.
Sure enough, later on, it happened. The Minister of Health came through to give his report and also to answer questions. So those questions were then asked again to the minister. Say, Minister, we need to find out the stats, the data as to how many people will be stabbing each other and the car accidents and so forth as a result of people taking alcohol, come to the hospital to be taken care of. That is overwhelming the trauma units to such that the NCCC then decided to say that we're cutting alcohol. Because I remember President Cyril Ramaphosa was being asked this question by Julius Malema of the Economic Freedom Fighters, and say, what signs are you using in order for you to now all of a sudden allow alcohol to be sold? And the president said that I'm consulting with the same story, okay? You know, let me save you the bottom of the same story. We consulted with the best scientists, medical councils and doctors and modelers of statistics. And now, Mr. Malema, we've already lost about 300 billion in collection of taxes. I'm just paraphrasing. The taxes that we're going to be needing the next year. So as a result, we have to balance the livelihood, okay, together with the lives that we need to save. And we decided to open up so that the alcohol would be sold. Okay. So now, there we were. The hero of South African public, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, coming through answering questions.
It will not be possible to give all the figures, as some of them need us to open up a bit of references if it's asked the way it's been asked. So we will try and answer as much as is possible. Next issue relates to alcohol. I'd love to share, if there was a slide presentation, I would love to share this to the colleagues, because we had this Sentinel trauma report. So prior to the lockdown, they indicated that there was a consistent trend of weekend spikes of 140 to 260 trauma cases across those 5 facilities which were sampled. The average median across that period was 89 daily trauma cases.
Waffling along. This information, normally I don't have it at hand here, and had I known that you're going to be asking specific questions and the reason why we shut down again, and I would then would have come with the information, but whatever. But here's an information here, and it's just started talking about some survey or study that was being done. He mentioned 5 hospitals. Okay, so I guess he was lucky enough to get the information. The information is not even from a govern. You know, the DA like to say where we govern. So where the DA governs in the Western Cape is where Minister Zwelem Kize got the information about the trauma uh, folks who are being received at the hospital, and he said about 40 to 50% reduction in terms of admissions were heard, you know. So it would be like sort of an average of, you would say 500 people would come through when we were closed, selling of alcohol, and after alcohol being sold, 1,200 people would then be admitted, you know, such number. So if you put all those numbers together, there are few. There are less than 2,000, you know, conservatively. Well, we can even give an extra 3,000 in terms of numbers of people who are admitted because of alcohol and accident. Let's just say the number was 5,000 of people being admitted, okay, since alcohol was sold again. See? And then look at the numbers, the number of the ICU units or the hospital beds that would receive the COVID-19 virus patients. Fact of the matter is, I've looked anywhere, there is no number, a specific number that's been set to say, when we close our country down, this is the number of hospital beds that we are supposed to have, given the modeling of the disease, as to, for instance, we'll be having about 40 to 50,000 people who are going to die at the end of the year. That's what the ministers say. So those 50,000 number of people, it means that at this time we're supposed to be having, let's just say, 25,000 beds with equipped with oxygen, equipped with I just thought of Mtembu, ventilators. You know what he called ventilators, equipped with ventilators, and with the medications that's been required. Okay, so the stats are not adding up, folks. And then lastly, we just found out that Zwelem Kize now says that he cannot release the statistics, or how the scientists and advisors advised the government to do the things that they do. or when it comes to the regulations that they're coming through, you know. The reason why they would say that you can go to the store, but you cannot buy maybe sandals with toes peeking out. You can buy boots, or you can have a taxi that's full capacity with everyone wearing masks close to each other, but you cannot be able to visit your parents at home. Or you can go chill at the park, but you can't be able to go and visit your family. See? So they said that they're not going to be coming up with that. Let's quickly go through this article. It's business day, the 14th of July. Corona scientific advisories will not be released. It's by business day. Health Minister Zweli Mkhize will not release the scientific advisories he received on COVID-19 because they did not represent the government's final position on the issues they cover, he said on Monday. The Ministerial Advisory Committee on COVID-19 has provided more than 70 advisories to Mkhize since it was established in late March to help guide the government's response to the disease. Health Minister Zweli Mkhize will not release the scientific advisories he has received on COVID-19 because they do not represent the government final position on the issues they cover, he said on Monday. The Ministerial Advisory Committee, MAC, on COVID-19 has provided more than 70 advisories to Mkhize since it was established in late March to help guide the government's response to the disease. While some of the advisories have made their way into the public domain, none have been officially released by the minister, nor are they available on the Department of Health website. They cover fiercely contested issues such as alcohol restriction, measures to reduce coronavirus transmission in public transport, and testing strategies. So, folks, that's just all in a nutshell. My name is Mamuji, and thank you for watching the Mamuji Show. I'm out.